Welcome into Eye on Northeast Kansas, the podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. This is where we recap some of the top stories and top interviews of the past week that you saw on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show. It comes to you live Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time from the WIBW TV studios in the capital Kansas, the city of Topeka. And Topeka, once again, this week has been racked by violence. Last week on the podcast, I told you about the rape and killing of a 5-year-old girl, Zoe Felix. The violence continued this week. The city saw 3 homicides in a span of 72 hours. The victims, age 17, age 18, and age 17. Thursday, hours before that most recent homicide, Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kagay visited our studio. I asked him about the violence and also about any developments in the investigation of Zoe Felix. Of those 4 homicides, those 4 killings in the past 2 weeks I mentioned, there was only an arrest in the Zoe Felix case, and that suspect, Michael Cherry, is charged with capital murder in the commission of a rape. DA Kagay spoke about that and also about the toll all of this violence, particularly involving young people, is having on his staff, along with the rest of the community. Welcome, District Attorney Kagay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to clear up a couple things, first of all, regarding the Zoe Felix case and some questions people have had in regards to the suspect, Michael Cherry. Some people are saying that there was a prior case involving him and your office either dismissed charges or elected not to file charges. Did you have any prior contact with Michael Cherry before last week?
Before last week, I did not know who Michael Cherry was. I'd never heard of him before, and we certainly had no police reports.
And I will say that we did check with the Shawnee County Jail. They have no record of Mr. Cherry being arrested prior to last week either. So there is that. A lot of questions surrounding who should have been looking out for Zoe. Neighbors tell us they reported many times to DCF, Child Protective Services, that they were concerned about Zoe's welfare. We've made open records requests to DCF. What about your office? Did you have any cases forwarded regarding Zoe? And first of all, did you have any cases regarding Zoe?
Well, first of all, Melissa, I appreciate the question, and I'm not trying to dance around it. We don't name minor victims. The law provides a lot of protection for minor victims. So I know it seems like a silly answer given that you're giving me a specific name, but I can't really answer your question without violating that victim's privacy.
In more general terms, what has to happen for your office to get involved in a child's welfare?
So what we're looking at is a referral from a law enforcement agency or from the Department of Children and Families, DCF. And that's how this works. So theoretically, a law enforcement officer coming across a scene could identify a child who's in need of care because they are in an abusive or neglectful situation. They can place that child in police protective custody, and that initiates what's called a SYNC proceeding in our office, a child in need of care proceeding, where we file paperwork with the court, we place that child in state custody, and the case moves forward. More frequently, though, those come from referral from the Department of Children and Families. DCF will get a call. They'll go out and do an investigation, and they will refer that investigation to my office and say, we would like you to initiate a SYNC proceeding in the case of this particular child. I can confirm the child we're talking about, that never happened.
Does simply having the child live in a tent or in a homeless encampment, does that rise to the level of a need to remove the child from that situation, or what kind of interventions are there?
Right. So without commenting specifically on the facts of this case, I can tell you that generally speaking, if the child is in danger, right, if the child is not being cared for in the way that a reasonable person would provide care for the child, there's a concern. If the child has been abused or is at risk of abuse in any way, there is a concern, and that concern should certainly be explored. And it would be my expectation that law enforcement or DCF would do that and forward those reports to my office so we could take appropriate action.
We've also filed requests for the arresting affidavits in this case. Will that be released?
That is a judgment call for the court. So,
are you objecting to it?
I'm not sure if I can comment on something that is a pending motion.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll wait for the court to make their ruling.
Fair enough.
And then we'll go from there.
Fair enough. And even if there is information released, we understand that both parties have the right to redact some of the information, withhold some of it.
That's correct.
Because of the case. This is 28 homicides this year in Topeka. Of those, there are 8 victims under the age of 18, one victim who was 18, the most recent young man who was killed last night. How tough is that for your office?
It's heartbreaking, Melissa. It's all these cases are difficult. Anytime somebody loses their life, it's difficult. It's hard. When it's someone who's more vulnerable, it makes it that much harder. And not just in a homicide case, but anytime somebody in that position is harmed. We have a lot of Jessica's Law offenses, unfortunately, in this community where a child under the age of 14 has been sexually abused, has been raped. These cases will break your heart, and there's a real human cost to handling this kind of case and doing the work that we do. And we know that going in, but it's definitely challenging. I'm honored to do the work. I'm proud that this is the role that I play in it, but it really does take a toll on me, on my staff, on law enforcement, on judges. I've seen juries look at images and weep openly during a trial. Defense attorneys, they don't want to look at these things any more than we do. So there's a real human cost to doing the work we do.
Well, you're parents, and if you have children around the age of 5, I'm sure this has been a tough couple of weeks for you. Physically, labor-wise, when you have 28 homicide cases crossing your desk, just on the amount of work, how is your staff doing? Are you able to keep up? How does this compound on what already had been a backlog you were catching up on?
Yeah, it puts a strain on our resources. It puts a strain on our manpower. We're currently not fully staffed. We're trying to hire another attorney position. Our commissioners in Shawnee County have been very supportive of the work that we do, and I have no reason to believe that will not continue. So I know that if I need additional help, I can go to them and they'll be there.
Well, we appreciate you visiting with us and offering some perspective on these cases and the role of your office and in what are some very challenging situations. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, Melissa.
There have been several memorials and remembrances this week. The public school district planted a tree outside their early learning academy in memory of Zoe Felix, and also a vigil for some of the victims in the homicides that happened over this past week. Of course, it's also bringing a reaction from the community. We have been following some of the efforts that are underway to try to engage young people to keep them away from violence and have the community involved in taking a stand against violence. One other interesting guest we had this week that was kind of parallel to the issue, they were talking about an organization called Kairos Torch. It works with young offenders, in particular in the Topeka area, and plans to mentor them. It works to mentor them to get them back on the right path as they rebuild their lives. Carl Frazier and Paul Beck are some of the Kansas board members for Kairos Torch, and they told us about what they do and the difference they've seen it make. It's very interesting. I'm not familiar with this ministry, so Carl, tell us what Kairos Torch is.
Okay, Kairos Torch started around 1979, and the first one was in Florida. 9 old men started this ministry, and we have an international office outside Orlando, and we have over we're around not only the United States but in other countries, Africa and all that. And what we do is we have several different ones. We have men's inside, women's inside, women's outside, and also Kairos. And what we particularly want to talk about today is Kairos ministry, which is God's special time, Kairos. And Torch is for young people under 25 that get incarcerated, and we go to the facility up north, and we are in short of volunteers. And so that's the reason we thank God for like Fellowship Bible Church and many other churches in the community, Faith Temple and many other churches that have volunteer, but we need more volunteers.
Paul, what would a Kairos Torch volunteer do? You go to the Kansas Juvenile Correctional Complex in North Topeka.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Christ-centered prison ministry for youth offenders. And we do our ministry at the Kansas Juvenile Correctional Complex here in Topeka. And most of the youth are, the youngest one I've seen was 11 years old, but they're 11 to 21, 22 sometimes. But we have a event called the Weekend, and it's a spiritual retreat where we go out there and put on a spiritual retreat for them. And then after that, we're paired up one-on-one, and we mentor a youth for 6 months, usually on Thursday nights when we have been going out there one night a week.
What kind of time commitment would a volunteer need?
Well, number one, we fully train them. It's probably like a 4-weekend training. We also, after the training, we have it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday program where we go into the facility and do a retreat. The young people that Friday, they look.
And
by
by Sunday, they're
woo,
smiling.
all that good food.
And then how often and regularly would you be meeting with the young person you're paired up with?
Once a week.
Once a week. Is it only male volunteers?
No.
Men and male and female.
Yeah.
And then what kind of difference have you seen this make in a young person's life?
Well, the motto for Kairos is changing hearts and transforming lives. And it has changed lives on both sides of the wall. The mentors that go in, as well as the mentees that we mentor, are often changed. And you can often see those changes. I mean, over the course of time, our motto is to love, and listen, and we need to find a safe place where we can build trust with them. And some of these people have never been able to trust their own parents.
Also, this is a evidence-based program where we had evidence where this program worked and have changed the life, statistics and all that. And that's how the international office, we were able to get grants. And we also, at our state level, I am the chair of the Kairos Prison Ministry for the state of Kansas. And Paul is the counselor, the chair of the council here for Torch in Topeka. So we have been around for a while, and we have seen the changes that this program has made.
Well, it makes sense. If you don't have someone to trust, if you don't have an example to look up to, then it's tough to succeed. And so they've got their whole lives ahead of them. kskairos.org. You saw the information there on the website. That's where you would go to sign up and get more information. I'll get that on WIBW.com as well. Carl, Paul, thank you both so very much for being here. So they need volunteers in order to continue to make that positive impact. We appreciate Carl and Paul for filling us in on the work of Kairos Torch. October, as you likely are hearing, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A lot of opportunities for folks to raise awareness of the need for early detection and the resources that are available in our community. Of course, one organization that works year-round is the American Cancer Society. Topeka is going to join other communities in hosting a Making Strides event. Stephanie Wider from the American Cancer Society local office visited to tell us about our October 21st event. Stephanie, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You're wearing the pink, very appropriate, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and hence Making Strides has come about. How many years is this now?
The 11th year for Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, and so we are so excited to have the event on October 21st at Evergy Plaza. People can register at 8:30, and then the walk starts at 9:30.
What exactly does the day all entail? How will it unfold?
Well, I think the most exciting thing about the event this year is we've added some fun, unique things. We're having a kid zone this year that is going to be sponsored by the Dance Factory, and so they're going to have face painting, cornhole, and games like that for the kids. And then linked jewelry is going to be there so people can put permanent jewelry on, which is a great way to commemorate the day with their family. And then we've got 4 dance groups that are going to come out and perform that morning. The Hayden Dance Team, Radiant, the Dance Factory, and I think Inbound or Bound Dance Factory, or not Dance Factory, but 4 dance teams that are coming out. And then we have the Washburn Rural Choir is going to come out to do the national anthem. So we're very excited.
I would think so. You really have made it a whole day. A whole day of family fun, family activity. Why is it important to involve people of all ages and all races and all genders in this event?
Well, because cancer doesn't discriminate. And so breast cancer, we know, will affect more than 290,000 women in this country in 2023, and more than 2,400 of those will be in Kansas. And so we want to make sure that people know that as soon as you are 40, you need to think about being screened for breast cancer, and certainly by 45, you need to get an annual mammogram. And early detection really is the key. Absolutely. We do a video of last year's event, by the way, so you can kind of get a sense of how everybody comes in their pink and has a good time and gets together.
how does camaraderie help when you have something like this and you see everybody come together?
Well, I think what's unique about Strides is the fact that there's so much energy around the event, and you do see generations of family members coming together for this 3-mile walk. And that's what I love to see. And there have been so many families that have participated in the event year after year. It's so fun to see them come back. Just the energy that they bring and the passion they have for educating people about the importance of getting screened for breast cancer.
You had mentioned the dancing and all the activities, but yeah, there is a walk involved. You kind of snuck that in there.
There is a walk.
3 miles?
Yes.
Do you have to go all 3 miles? And what kind of route does it follow?
Right. It goes through downtown Topeka. We'll loop around the Capitol a couple of times, and if you are not able to make the full route, that's not a problem. You can peel off and come back. It's not a timed event. It's a leisurely Saturday morning stroll through downtown Topeka.
And it is a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society.
Yes,
so how can people get involved in that part of the day?
So people can go to our website, which is makingstrideswalk.org/TopekaKS to register. There's no registration fee. We just ask people to secure donations. They can sign up right there on the website, or if they're not able to sign up in advance, they can come and register the day of the event.
And Raina Flores is going to be there emceeing,
yes,
I believe.
She is.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Final thought, again, 8:30 is when registration starts, and then you're going to start walking at what time?
9:30, and then we'll be done by 11 a.m. But it's going to be a great morning, and the weather's looking fantastic, so we're excited about that.
We're just going to hold Daniel and Jeremy and Doug Myers to that for all of these next few weeks.
Yes, we will.
Well-timed rain is what we like to say.
Exactly.
Stephanie, thank you so very much. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer coming up October 21st. Be there. And because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I want to share with you a piece that I did this week on a fantastic woman that I met. Her name is Tracy McGrath. She is a physical therapist at a facility in Topeka, and she is less than a year out in her breast cancer journey. She regularly had gotten mammograms. She went in last November as usual, and then she got a different result than she had in the past. It was a breast cancer diagnosis. It was so inspiring to meet her, though, and to kind of see where she's at in her journey and how she's developing her future plans and looking forward to how she can use this experience in moving forward in the rest of her life. So I want you to meet Tracy McGrath. As a physical therapist, Tracy McGrath helps patients bounce back from illness or injury.
I have always been a caregiver for my family, friends, just everyone.
She also takes care of herself, including an annual mammogram.
I get one every year. Always, no fail.
But last November, the results were different. By the time Christmas came around, the 53-year-old mother of 2 was diagnosed with breast cancer.
It was fear, first of all. You're nervous for your life. I've never had to feel that way before. I've always been super healthy, in my opinion. And then I was worried about my coworkers and my family and my friends and what they're going to have to go through with me. And then I became very motivated, extremely motivated to learn.
Tracy says she bought a stack of 8 books.
I wanted to learn everything I could possibly know about breast cancer.
It helped her cope with chemotherapy and radiation, but she admits it took time to learn the most important lesson, how to accept help. Thankfully, she says her family, friends, boss, coworkers, even strangers didn't wait to be asked.
When you are diagnosed, you join this club that you never wanted to be in, but it is the most supportive club. Everybody is so helpful. It's okay to lean on others.
Tracy's cancer was caught at stage 1A very early. Even still, it had slightly spread to one of her lymph nodes. Not all women are as diligent about mammograms. The National Cancer Institute shows 73% of Kansas women aged 50 to 74 had a mammogram in the past 2 years, the 7th lowest rate in the country. Kansas ranks 36th when looking at all women age 40 and older, with 68%.
Do not wait on your mammograms. It might help you to avoid having to have chemotherapy or having it spread through your body.
Tracy has finished treatment and is working to regain strength. She's also finding her voice.
When I was finished, I just wanted to forget this ever existed and go on and never speak of it again, but that didn't last very long. I realized I need to take everything that I've learned and I need to go back and I need to help friends, family, patients who are going through the same thing.
Lessons learned from experience.
You need to live each day to the fullest. You need to not wish your life away even when you're going through difficult treatment, because each day matters.
And that's perfect advice no matter what difficulties or challenges you might be facing. That's a nice, inspiring way to wrap up the podcast this week after what's been a tough week around here in the capital of Kansas, as you heard. And hopefully your life, you've been able to have a little mental health break and make sense of things. Glad you could be with us. Remember, you can see these videos as well as the videos of all of our guests on Eye on Northeast Kansas when you take a look at WIBW.com. I also post them on our YouTube channel. Just search WIBW 13 News. And of course, you can watch our live stream Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time on WIBW.com. Glad you could be along with us. Until next time, we'll see you on the Red Couch.